Emma stood at the base of the towering mountain, her eyes scanning the seemingly endless slope. It was intimidating, to say the least. Jagged rocks protruded from the earth like obstacles waiting to trip her up, and the distant peak was shrouded in mist, as though nature itself was challenging her to try. This mountain wasn't just a physical challenge. It was a metaphor for her life. Lesson 1: Start with a plan. Before Emma had decided to take on the mountain, she knew she had to plan. She'd grown up hearing the advice, failing to plan is planning to fail. Life's challenges were no different from this trek. Without preparation, she knew she wouldn't last long. So she spent hours studying maps, checking weather patterns, and learning about the terrain. She gathered supplies, made sure she had the right gear, and mentally prepared for the climb. Real-life application: whether you're facing an academic challenge, a work deadline, or a life goal, always start with a plan. Break the problem down into smaller, manageable parts. It's easy to get overwhelmed when you look at the big picture, but with careful planning, you can conquer anything one step at a time. As she began the ascent, the sun was barely rising, casting a soft glow across the landscape. The first hour felt easy, almost deceivingly so. The path was clear, the incline gentle. Emma found herself enjoying the process. This was the excitement of starting something new, like the first few weeks of a project or a new job. But after that initial hour, the terrain became steeper, and the real work began. Her legs started to burn, and the weight of her backpack felt heavier with each step. Lesson 2: Pace yourself. Emma had heard stories of people burning out too soon, starting too fast, and not being able to sustain their energy. She remembered the advice from an experienced climber: pace yourself. You don't win a race in the first mile, but you can lose it. She adjusted her rhythm, making sure to breathe deeply and take regular breaks. This wasn't just about physical endurance, it was about maintaining a steady mental focus. She knew that it was easy to feel motivated at the start, but lasting motivation came from discipline, not excitement. Real-life application: in life, whether it's a long-term career goal or a personal project, pacing yourself is crucial. Burnout is real. It's better to maintain steady progress than to go all out and lose energy halfway through. Balance work and rest, and remember that consistency wins over intensity. By midday, Emma had made considerable progress. She stopped for lunch, taking in the view. The world looked different from up here, more expansive, and her problems seemed smaller in the grand scheme of things. She thought about the challenges she'd faced over the past year, her struggles with self-doubt, setbacks in her career, and personal losses. Each of those obstacles had felt insurmountable at the time, but here she was, standing taller than before, physically and emotionally. Lesson 3: Reflect and reframe. Emma had learned the value of reflection. In the past, she'd always seen challenges as setbacks. Now, she understood that every difficulty was a chance to grow. She'd started journaling as a way to process her emotions, and it had made a huge difference. When she looked back on her journey, she could see how much she had evolved. What had once seemed like failures were now simply stepping stones toward her growth. Real-life application: take time to reflect on your progress, both in the short and long term. Journaling, meditation, or simply taking a moment to think can help you reframe challenges as learning opportunities. Growth comes from adversity, and sometimes, the hardest parts of life are where we gain the most wisdom. The afternoon sun was harsh, and the climb became grueling. Emma's legs wobbled with each step, and she found herself questioning if she could continue. The summit seemed just as far away as it had been when she started, and doubt crept in. She had read about this part of the climb. Experienced mountaineers called it the wall. It was the point where exhaustion clouded your judgment, and giving up felt easier than pushing forward. Lesson 4: Embrace the struggle. Emma knew that the only way to get through the wall was to embrace the pain. Instead of resisting the discomfort, she accepted it. She focused on her breathing, told herself that every step was progress, no matter how slow. She remembered the advice her coach had given her in high school track: pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. It wasn't about being fearless or invincible, It was about acknowledging the struggle and continuing anyway. Real-life application: in life, you will hit walls. There will be times when giving up seems easier than pushing forward. But embracing the struggle is part of the journey. Know that it's okay to feel tired, to feel doubt, but keep moving forward. Small steps count as progress, and resilience is built in these moments. As the day turned into evening, Emma reached a plateau just below the summit. She could finally see the peak clearly, closer now, but still not quite within reach. She pitched her tent, knowing that she needed rest before the final push. That night, under the stars, Emma reflected on her journey. She thought about all the people who had supported her, encouraged her, and pushed her to believe in herself. She thought about the lessons she'd learned along the way, the importance of planning, pacing, reflecting, and embracing the struggle. And she realized something: the summit wasn't the only goal. The journey itself had transformed her. Lesson 5: Value the journey, not just the destination. The next morning, Emma woke up before dawn. She packed up her gear, took a deep breath, and began the final ascent. It was the hardest part of the climb, steeper and more treacherous than anything she had faced before. But with each step, she reminded herself that the summit wasn't the only reward. She had already gained so much by simply choosing to climb. By the time she reached the top, the sun was rising, casting golden light across the horizon. Emma stood at the peak, exhausted but triumphant. She had made it. But more importantly, she had grown. Real-life application: goals are important, but don't forget to appreciate the process. Life isn't just about reaching the top, it's about who you become along the way. Success isn't just about the destination, but about the lessons you learn during the climb. Emma's climb mirrors the challenges we all face in life. Whether you're pursuing academic success, career growth, or personal fulfillment, the principles of planning, pacing, reflection, embracing struggle, and valuing the journey apply universally. As Emma stood at the peak of the mountain, she realized that her journey wasn't over. There would be more mountains to climb, more challenges to face. But now, with these lessons in hand, she was ready for whatever came next. And so are you.